Thank you so much. All right, so here we go. My whiteboard. And let's do that third point right there. 4, 3, 6, and 6. And if you notice, which way do we read? We read from left to right. So I labeled these x of 1, y sub 1, x of 2, y sub 2. And I'm going to plug and chug. I use parentheses. If you walk into my office 10 years from now and you say, Hubert, here's my little boy, John, and he wants to learn how to do slope, I will do the same thing that I'm doing right now. And I've got 3.5 degrees. So if I've got 3.5 degrees in mathematics and I use those parentheses, then what should you be using with 0 degrees? You should be using parentheses. Now why? Because of two things. Negatives and what? Fractions. What does negatives and fractions do to y'all? Sends y'all into a tailspin. So that's why you need to have those parentheses. So, what's x of 2? 6. What's x of 1? 3.
3.
I'm sorry, y sub 1. I said x of 1. What's x of 2? 6.
6.
And what's x of 1?
4.
6 minus 3 and 6. And that's how you do slope. Now, you'd be surprised on how many people mess that up. And the reason they mess it up is because some teachers lobotomize students when they show you how to calculate the slope. It's that simple. That's it. That's how you find the slope. This is an example of a problem they'll give you, and I would probably pick the x and y intercept. In other words, you pick your points. Here, they give you points on the graph, or here, they give you just 2 points without the graph. Those are the 3 type questions that you'll have to find the slope. And remember, are we finding the slope or are we calculating the slope? We're calculating. Finding the slope is just solving for y and seeing what's in that m spot. That's finding the slope. Capiche?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you calculate the slope. Again, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, but sometimes it kind of helps to go over this, because if the one thing that people screw up in graphing is calculating the slope. And here's the second most important thing. Anytime you see the directions, write that down. When you see the directions, find an equation. That means that you're going to use the point-slope equation, PSE. Write down the point-slope equation. In order to use the point-slope equation, you have to have a point and a what?
Slope.
Okay, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck there, but you have to have a point and a slope. So if they give you 2 points, you've got to calculate the slope, and then you pick one of the points. If they give you a point and slope, you don't have to do anything. You just plug and what? Plug and chug. So the 2 type problems they're going to give you, they're going to give you a problem. Hold on. This is a pain. They're going to give you a problem like these 3 and say, find an equation. Find an equation. Of course, you got to find the slope first. Or they're just going to give you a problem with the point and slope. And that's what I see 3 types of problems for calculating the slope. So let's go and find the slope of the second one. I mean the equation for this one right here. So I'm going to take my handy dandy blue marker, and we're going to find the slope of this line. I mean, not the slope, We're going to find the equation, but we got to calculate the slope. So I'm going to take my handy dandy blue marker, and I'm going to find the slope first. So equals parentheses. I might as well just not even hit anything because everything I hit is wrong. Parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. All right, y sub 2 is 0. Y sub 1 is 4. X sub 2 is 4. X sub 1 is 0. And that's going to give us negative 4 over 4, which is equal to 1. So our slope of the blue line is equal to what? So now I'm going to pick a point. I'm going to pick, since we read from left to right, I'm going to pick 0, 4. You can pick either one. I don't care. And now I'm going to take this and do part 2, which means I'm going to plug it into y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And y sub 1, x sub 1, y sub 1. Y sub 1 is 4, m is 1, and x sub 1 is 0. And now solve for y. Y minus 4 is equal to 1x minus 0, and bring 4 across the river, and y is equal to x plus 4. And something's wrong because it's supposed to be negative. Oh, it's a negative 1 slope, sorry. Negative 1. My bad. There we go. Negative x plus 4. So now we've just found the equation for that blue line. And again, everybody in the room should be going, oh yeah, I remember doing that back in whatever.
I remember.
Say again?
That I remember.
You remember? Or you don't?
Yeah.
Good.
I do, because that's what majority of all my classes repeated year after year.
Good. Well, it's very important because you use it in business a good bit. Some other properties. When x is equal to a number, write that down. Let me give you some examples. X is equal to 2. X is equal to 1/2. X is equal to negative 3. When x is equal to a number, it's always going to be parallel to the what axis? Parallel to the what axis? Therefore, it is called a what line? And therefore, slope is undefined. So write that down. If you have it printed out, you should have printed them out the first week of class, but that's okay. Or you should have printed them out after Monday when I told you to. But I understand, it's a lot of work. And how do you graph it? Well, you just graph the 2 or I'll do the negative 3. Let's do negative 3 in blue. X is equal to negative 3. 1, 2, 3. And what kind of line is it? It's a vertical line. That's how you draw it. Now, please make sure you make a note of this because this is the kind of question they'll put on a standardized test. Graph the line. X is equal to 1/2. Do it in blue. 1/2 is right here. And what kind of line? Vertical line. When x is equal to a number, it's a vertical line. So when y is equal to a number, it's a what line? So let's do y is equal to 4. And we'll do that in red. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a horizontal line. Now, you don't have to think too much on these. You just have to remember the rule. Question. Next. If two lines have equal slopes, if M is equal to M, so let me give you an example. Well, there's an example right. Well, let me give you an okay. I'm sorry. There's an example right there. You solve for y and you get 2x plus 3. And you solve for y and you get 2x minus 6. The slopes are what? Equal. So therefore, what are the two lines doing? What are the two lines doing? They're parallel. If the two lines have reciprocal, that means the inverse, the reciprocal slopes and the opposite sign, then you have perpendicular lines. -3 and 1/3 are opposite side reciprocals from each other. So if you find the slopes, if you solve for y on both of these, and you get equal slopes and different y-intercepts, then you have parallel lines. If you have a -3 here, or a positive 1/3 here, or a positive 3 here, and a negative 1/3 here, they're perpendicular. All right, let's do one. Let's do a slope. Let's go with 1, 4. No, let's go with -1, -4. And 2, 2. And I want you to first calculate the slope. That's the first thing. And then I want you to give me the equation using the point-slope equation. That way I can test you on two things that we went over today. Calculate the slope, and then plug and chug into the point-slope equation. Give y'all a minute or two. And if you can't do it, you know you can write it up as what? A failure. So what am I going to do? First thing I'm going to do is label my points. Which way do we read? So this is x of 1, y sub 1. This is x of 2, y sub 2. M is equal to delta y over delta x, which is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y sub 2 is 2, -4. 2, negative 1. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's equal to 2. And I guarantee you somebody in here did not get 2 because you didn't use the parentheses. Now you don't have to raise your hand, but somebody didn't get 2. So maybe you understand that you got to use parentheses. Okay, so now I'm going to pick a point. Which point do you think I'm going to pick? I can pick either one, but which one do you think I'm going to pick? Come on, people, you got a 50-50 shot. Which one am I going to pick? Nope, you're wrong and you're a loser. Which point? I can only pick -1, -4, 2, and 2. Which one am I going to pick? 2 and 2. Why am I going to pick 2 and 2? Because they're positive. Unless you like whips and chains, why would you pull a negative or a fraction? You don't want to do that. So I'm going to pick this point. So 2, 2. That's x of 1, y sub 1. And m is equal to 2. Plug and chug. Y minus parentheses equals parentheses times x minus parentheses. And y sub 1 is 2. X sub 1 is 2. And m is 2. Y minus 2 is equal to 2x minus 4. Bring the 2 over across the river. And y is equal to 2x minus what? Minus 2. So there's 2 mistakes. All right? 2 mistakes that somebody made. 1, somebody didn't get a 2 down here. And 2, somebody got, what did you say, 6? Somebody said 6. 6 is not correct. And the reason I'm bringing up those 2 errors, those are the 2 errors that most students make. They make this error here because they didn't use parentheses. And they make this error right here. They say -4 minus 2 is -6. You got to be careful. Let's do a nerd. Of course, this time y'all are just going to quit before you even start. You know why? Yeah, pretty much. So -2, +4, and 1/2, comma, 3/4. So why are you going to quit on this one? Because of fractions. We can't do fractions. Hell, we can't even read a tape measure. So I'll just sit here and twiddle my thumbs because I know y'all not going to try it. Come on, y'all can do it. Y'all know I'm setting y'all up for failure, right? Mike Bloomberg spent $500 million and didn't win a single state. And people tell me that people hadn't lost their damn minds. He's lost his damn mind. If I hated somebody that much, I think I'd go to church a little bit more. If I had that much jealousy and hate in my heart, I think I would go to church a little bit more. Reptilian guy, he did the same thing. What was his name? The other millionaire, the one that looked like a lizard. Steyer, Tom Steyer. He spent like $300 million. Dumbass. Some of these politicians, they get somebody to come up to them and say, you know what, you need to run for president. And they just think that they're just the greatest thing in the world. And they go out and run for president, and they fall flat on their face. I just don't understand people. And nobody says a word. Thank you very much for your communication. Well, y'all been conditioned very well. Who has conditioned y'all? These Pendleton teachers or what? No. Okay, Hubert, talk to yourself. Delta y over delta x equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2. So, 3/4 minus 4 over 1, and 1/2 minus negative 2 over 1. Now, in order to add or subtract fractions, what do you got to have? Common denominator, Hubert. That's right, class. Appreciate y'all's input. 1 will go into 4 times. 4 times 4 is what? 16. 2 will go into 4 2 times. 2 times 1 is what? 2, Hubert. 1 will go into 4 times. 4 times 2 is what?
8.
What's 3 minus 16? Negative 13, Hubert. Well, I need to get in y'all's checking accounts. If y'all can't take $3 and you owe $16, you have $3 and you owe $16, and y'all don't know that you owe $13. No comment. 2 plus 8 is 10 over 4. When you divide by a fraction, you multiply by the what? Reciprocal, Hubert. And I get negative 13 tenths. And I guarantee you some of y'all didn't get that. But I'm trying to be positive. I hope you got it. No comment again. So m is equal to negative 13 tenths. And I'm going to pick negative 2 and 4. Why am I picking negative 2 and 4? If you pick those fractions, there's something wrong with you. All right, y minus 4 is equal to negative 13 tenths times x minus a negative 2. Y minus 4 is equal to negative 13 tenths x. And that plus 2, 13 times a negative 13 times a positive 2 is a negative 26 tenths. Bring this over, which will be positive, is that a positive? It's a negative. Positive 40 tenths. And y is equal to negative 13 tenths x plus 13, or 14, what is it, 14 tenths? Y'all check my math. What's 26 plus 14? Should be 40. Now, of course, you could take that down to 7/5 if you wanted to, but that's not my concern. My concern, can you do the problem? Okay, I don't care. If you get it down to 14 tenths, and that's correct, I could care less about you changing that to 7/5. Okay? Question. Okay, you want the good news or the bad news? Bad news. Bad news is test coming up. Good news is you're probably going to have the weekend because Friday I'm going over homework questions or the test because I just finished 6.6. So what do y'all think? Appreciate the input.
I'm going to have some questions on it, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, send them in because you got Friday. All right, I'm going to cut off the recorder and I'm going to let y'all go early today. I don't know.